Good morning. Welcome to Curriculum Corner number 7, where we're going to take a deep dive into student IEP goals and IEP progress. All right. We are currently doing a series on project-based IEP goals. And what we want to do in this environment is use engaging projects to aid students in IEP progress. So in this opportunity where we are at distance, we have the opportunity to explore projects to help students in their IEP progress. All right, let's jump right into it. So this is the statement that we see on our IEPs in Welligent. Progress and annual goals to be reported to parents by completing the IEP report of progress and achievement from current IEP forms, which will be provided at either progress reports or report card period. So we know that in every IEP that we write or attend, students have a math goal, a writing goal, and a reading goal. And that goal is measured over 3 different periods throughout the year. We want a child to make significant progress on their goals at each period. Now, present levels of performance. So this is what your student is currently doing in your classroom currently. And I want to jump over to a different screen really quickly. And this came out from LAUSD last week. Here's what we're looking here. Present levels of performance, or PLPs. Here's some consideration and guidance that came out from LAUSD. And I want to look at this. So we all know what a present level of performance is in our annuals and our tries. It's the IEP team needs to develop PLPs that include a statement of strength, needs, and impact of disability, just as teams did prior to the COVID-19 national pandemic. To develop the PLPs at this time, while schools are closed, the IEP team will need to use data sources that include but are not limited to. So this is the great place, and this is a place where we can park ourselves for a bit. So in a PLP, they want data sources. And I want to look at this first one here. Student records, academic history, including student work samples, portfolio assessment, informal assessment data, including curriculum-based and alternative measures. So a lot of times I think we make the mistake of limiting assessment to, oh, the San Diego Quick is an assessment. Oh, the Cat9 is assessment. Oh, the KSAP is an assessment. Oh, the SBAC is assessment. Yes, those are assessments, but those are formal assessments. But look here, the PLP says informal assessment data. In fact, the PLP even says parental input. Now, parental input is not research-based or data-driven at all, but it's an observation. So what we can see here is that PLPs are not simply limited to formal assessments. They are also informal assessments that can be included in a PLP. Okay? Actually, really, formal assessments are used more for diagnosing and more for really almost liability purposes, really more than they are about student learning. But you can discern student learning in progress and document it in a PLP by using student work samples and portfolios and informal assessment data, including curriculum-based and alternative measures. So that is the space that we can be in, and that is the justification that gives us really the opportunity to begin to move into a project-based measurement of student progress in an IEP. And that's straight from the district document right there. So this is great news for us because it can allow us to begin to create more engaging assignments for our students and allow them to really get into and be active participants in their learning, which is a part of our mission statement. So today we're going to look at reading goals. So I'm going to jump right in here. I pulled a reading goal straight from an IEP in Welligent. Let's take a look at it. Okay, here's the sample goal that I pulled. Student will evaluate the argument and specific claims in an informational text, determining whether the reasoning is valid and the evidence is relevant and sufficient with 60% accuracy in 4 out of 5 trials as measured by teacher charted records. Okay, there's the goal right there, written out very specifically, very measured. Now, some people could say, well, I'll just whip out the textbook and go right into this. But we have a brilliant chance here to do something really fun and really to engage the students and allow them to have their learning not just be in school, but for them to be able to look at the world and then begin to make sense of it. Okay, and how do we do that? Well, right now we have a golden opportunity. The presidential election is coming up, and I think a lot of our society looks at the presidential election and they're either excited about it or they're discouraged about it or they're fighting about it. Well, here's the thing. Every 4 years, the students, our country is going to have an election. And some of our students are getting old enough to vote. 16-year-old high school students will be voting in 2 years. Okay? 12-year-old high school students will be voting, in 6 years. And that time goes by really quickly. I still think back to 2012 doesn't seem like it was that long ago. That 2008 wasn't that long ago. That 2000 wasn't that long ago. I still remember voting in all of those elections. And I love to teach the presidential election when I was a classroom teacher because there is so much to learn. We can get rid of the negativity, the hostility. We don't need to pick a side. We just need to teach the process. And that's a great thing to be able to do. And it fits IEP goals. So gold mine right here. This is a gold mine of curriculum. The California general election is on Tuesday, November 3rd. Now, this is the voter information guide. This comes in the mail. I just got mine yesterday. This is a gold mine for curriculum. You can find for free, absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything. You could teach an entire class straight out of this book, okay, and meet student IEP goals just by giving assignments from this book. This is what I used to do when I was a classroom teacher. I usually just use my textbooks for supplementary material. I designed all my lessons myself, and I wrote all my lessons myself. And it was one of the things that a group of us teachers at the charter I worked at, we were just kind of like that. We were wired that way. We felt that, assessments and tests were not going to help kids, that we felt that they needed to have real world experience. And that's the way we taught. So that's the way I shaped my instruction. And I want to be able to teach you to be able to use these things. I think a lot of people see this stuff and they say, oh, we can't use it. You absolutely can. And I just showed you how this stuff works in the PLP. I just showed you the IEP goal, and you can get this and go right into it and begin to teach from it. And here's how we can meet the IEP goals of that student by using the California General Election Voter Guide. So jumping right into it. Here we go. Here's the table of contents. The table of contents lists off the 12 propositions that we are having in the state of California this year. Now, just by simply looking at this, you have all the academic subjects pretty much here. You have your reading, you have your writing, you have your language arts, you have math, you even have science in here as well. How do we have science in here? Well, take a look at it. There are propositions in here that are talking about number 23, establish state requirements for kidney dialysis clinics, requires on-site medical professional initiative statutes. There's your science right there in proposition number 23. Okay, so we have so much rich material that is right in front of us. We've got math. Look at Proposition 19, changing certain property tax rules, legislative constitutional amendment. Okay, so that's math when we learn about property taxes, and it's history when we're talking about constitutional amendments. Fourth grade history is studying out California history. Learn about the California Constitution. Learn about the content standards that are embedded in our own state constitution. Okay. And of course you have reading. All of this is reading. Reading those propositions is reading as well. You have all sorts of vocabulary in here. Define proposition, define bonds, authorizing, increases, diversity. It's rich. This is rich in content level material. Okay, so now jumping back to the IEP goal, what I love about this California Voter Guide, this is where it nails it right here. Okay, so it's got Proposition 20, and it's got arguments in favor of Proposition 20, and it's got a rebuttal to arguments in favor of Proposition 20. This is where I think the golden parts of this are, because now the IEP goal is for the student to learn how to argue in favor of something and argue against something. And that's a brilliant skill to be able to have. When I was in college, I was on the debate team. And when you go to a debate tournament, you will argue, there are 6 different matches. 3 matches you argue on the affirmative, which is you argue for something, and 3 matches you argue on the negative, which means you are against something. Now, the thing about this is that you would argue against your own case. That would happen. Like, for instance, when I was my last year debating, we had the resolution was on the war on drugs in Mexico. And we had a case that we would run about the war on drugs in Mexico. And then we would talk about how we would use the American military in Mexico to fight the war on drugs. And then we would go and do that case. And then we would be on the negative, and a team would come in and run the exact case that we ran, that we did about the war on drugs in Mexico and using the military. So we would have to argue against it. So the great thing about that is that you learn, you're not attached to your argument. So which is good, because I don't get like in a corner and just really buckling down and saying, oh, this has got to be true and this hasn't to be true. This isn't true. I can weave in and out of all sorts of different arguments. So for me, it's almost kind of weird. I almost enjoy not actually having advocacy and able to weave in and out of different arguments. And it's a skill. It's a skill to be able to listen to another person, hear their argument, not get so emotionally wrapped up in it that you end up lashing out at a person, but you're able to make an argument either for something or against something. And that's a skill that our students need to acquire. So this is golden. This is golden. These times right now of the presidential election, the propositions, really get into this, take advantage of it and use it to be able to help our students. Okay. All right. So here we go. Sample projects. We can use mixed media art project. We can go on and find all the propositions, find pictures, align them, and make a project out of that. Google Docs or slides with images. Think about this. You can take a Google Doc and you can read a proposition and write what you think about it. You can read the proposition, and even if you're a first grader, let's think about this. Open up the proposition and say, and circle the words you don't know. Circle 5 words that you don't know, and then go look those words up. Perfect. You got that. Okay. And then you can put those words on a Google Doc, search for images for those words. It's a powerful way to teach reading. You can make audio recordings. Listen to the presidential and vice presidential debates. For I think the next 4 weeks, there's going to be the presidential debate, the vice presidential debate going on. Watch them and then just record right afterwards what you thought of it. Pretend that you are a news broadcaster. Pretend that you're a political pundit and give your opinion on what the debates were. Okay. Research the propositions. So there were 12 propositions that people are going to vote on. Research those and find out what they're going to be like, and then find out who your representatives are. And you can use your grade level text. You can use novels, magazines, newspapers, and these voter guides that are coming in. Okay, projects help our students be successful. You know, the student can say, I built this, and they can show it to other people, and it shows mastery of a concept. Let's go back to that IEP goal. Wouldn't it be amazing in an IEP if you have a student who has that goal of reading and writing and being able to state for or against something, to come into an IEP and be able to say, hey, here's my present level performance. I watched the presidential debates, and then they're able to talk about it in the IEP. And you can do that according to the document. The document for present level of performance says student work samples, portfolios. Okay, we can use these sorts of things, and that's powerful. It makes a student feel successful to come into an IEP and to be able to have you read their present level performance, and for them to show a project that they created. That is golden, and that will help. How happy do you think a parent will feel in that moment, seeing their child who has been unsuccessful, but now they've built something and they can show it in an IEP? And I think that's a great thing, and that's something that we could be ready to do. All right, here's our action steps. You know, pick a student. You've got 12 of them in your classroom. Maybe you've got 8 or 9 or 10. Select one of your IEP goals, design a project, and here's a challenge for you. You've got an IEP coming up. Pick an IEP in the future, or it could be in the future. It could be soon, but present a project that your student did in the IEP that aligns with their present level of performance, that aligns with their goals. It will be powerful. Who's going to take me up on that challenge? All right. Look, each day, all of you get to do magic. We get to be creative. We get to look for possibilities. We get to find insight and inspiration. So we can look at it at a time in our roles that we get to do these things each day. We get to do these things with our students. So let's go out there. Let's go for it. Successful IEP goal progress will aid our students and it will help them see that they are learners. All right, that's Curriculum Corner for this week. And I will see you next week. Take care and have a great one.